Okay, my friends, a huge day for Mudfossil University and for health, really, literally. Here's what happened. I have been studying lactobacillus and all of the different bacteria that are in your body that are what they call probiotic. All right, that means that they do good things in your body. They create enzymes. They create products and break things down and create mucus and all the things your body needs to be healthy and your immune system to function. Literally, I'm telling you, that's a fact. Now, I received this morning. A couple of years ago, I put up a video called well, it was called "Is This Why You Are Sick?" And it is why, and it's been helping people with autism. Now, this woman, Annette Blackman, apparently is her name. She says her daughter has autism. She's 17 now. She barely made sense when she spoke. Roger, after you've been teaching me about the gut and how to take care of it, we feel a lot better. Acacia, her daughter, has started talking like a toddler. Thank you very much. We've been using the primal defense stuff for 4 weeks now. Only 4 weeks. And Acadia realizes the difference, and so do I. God bless you for your help. And now, I have other friends that I have been working with. Let me show you that. All right, I'm just going to tell you what the story is here in this video that I did. It starts out and talks about how they harvested the fecal samples from 10 individuals over a course of, I believe it was like 6 months. And here's what happened. They discovered there's bifidobacteria and there's lactobacilli. Now, there are two different types of genus, basically, I believe. And then there's a bunch of species within them. And the primal defense, this stuff here, has 7 of the lactobacilli, and it has 4 of the bifidobacterium. Now, it appears that the biophidium stays stable, and everybody has basically the same stuff if you're healthy. So that's a key right there. So we need to have the same stable biophidium in everybody. And it doesn't fluctuate much, apparently, from the samples they took. This particular group of 10 people. Now, however, the lactobacilli was totally different. The lactobacilli, and in the first, in my video here, I'm not going to bother playing it, but it goes in, it says the lactobacilli varied even among all the different people, and it varied even among the same person in different samples over this course of time. So the lactobacilli, that's the one that's dealing with milk, I believe. Lacto sounds like milk to me. Now it has to be dealing some kind of breakdown of enzymes, and there must be a lot of lacto activities that are varied. They're not all the same. Now, what we need to do is, I have a plan, and I think it's going to work. Now, we're going to go into this in 1 second. Okay, now don't forget, we started out with autism, basically, and how I started relating all this stuff to gut issues, which was autism and basically health. Because I had this issue myself. So I cured myself basically with probiotics, Metamucil, and some basic stuff. Now, when I realized that, I started to look at every chronic issue. And they all have the same thing. You put in any issue that you have, eczema, any kind of autism, Crohn's disease, that's all relates to the gut. Every single one of them says here, and here's your digestive issue that goes along with that. So I say, there's your digestive issue, and now here's what the problem. You have Crohn's disease, or you have, some kind of problem, eczema, all that stuff. I'm not kidding you. And that's one person sent me today. Here it is right here, about the eczema and lactobacillus. So lactobacillus in the management of resistant childhood atopic eczema. Now that's 10 years ago. The other one that I was referring to is over 20 years ago. Now here's one in pediatrics, and they're talking about the problems with chronic health conditions. They don't work. It says the dominant method for identifying and classifying children as having a chronic condition has relied on the presence of individual health condition, lengthy duration. This condition-specific or categoric approach has increasingly seemed neither pragmatic nor conceptually sound. The development of a generic approach which focus on elements that are shared by many conditions and families is recommended. And that's exactly what I recommend. Confront chronic conditions, CCC approach at MFU, Mudfossil University. We're going to confront chronic conditions, every single one of them. Now, how are we going to fix them if we know we got a chronic condition? First of all, we have to isolate all the different niches in the body. All right, now how are you going to do that? You see over here, look, let's migrate over here, hold on. All right, here's what we got. These are all the different areas, well, not all the different areas, but there's a body, and there's all the different little conditions where blood runs through here and there, and these are all these different organs. Now, what are we looking at here? Can you see that, the circulatory system? All right, this is an absolutely fabulous book. Now, this is the circulatory system and the lymphatic system. Well, what's the lymphatic system? Lymphatic system says it's a dump. The lymphatic system is your dump. Now, what are you dumping? Well, you got stuff in the lungs you're going to have to deal with a certain type of dumping. You've got stuff in your heart, you've got stuff in your pancreas, in your liver, in your kidneys, in your stomach, in your spleen. And all of those things have different chemistry. They all have different chemistry. And every one of these places has what they call lymph nodes. They're everywhere through your body. You see these little spots all over your body, lymph nodes everywhere. And they have to deal with this chemistry as a dump. He says, yeah, well, what'd you do today at the pancreas? Oh, man, that guy had this and that, and it came over here. We had to throw some sulfur in there, and he had all kind of metals coming in here, and we're going to get rid of it. And he said, how are you going to get rid of it? Well, so we're going to throw it in the lymph node dump. And he said, well, what happens there? He said, well, all that bacteria, it breaks it all up. The enzymes, all kind of things chop it up, and then it goes and flushes back. We take the good stuff, and we put it back in the blood, and we take the bad stuff, and we send it out the excretory system. Like, your kidneys, your poop, and that sort of stuff. He said, well, what happens if you don't have the bacteria there to break all that stuff up in the lymph nodes? He said, well, you're going to have a problem. He said, well, what if you had pancreatic cancer? What would that be from? And he said, well, it could be from not having the right bacteria in that lymph node to take care of that. And they said, well, how come we wouldn't have the right bacteria there? He said, well, antibiotics kills bacteria in your body, and it's not specific necessarily to a certain actual bacteria that's the bad guy. It can kill a lot of them. And then when you lose the good guys, that's when you got an issue. And if you can't clear out that duct and that bile duct, it's going to back up. You're going to have all kind of toxic conditions. That's dealing with mercury and vanadium and who knows what else. Lanthanum, who knows? Heavy metals, all kinds of things come through. You got to get them out. That's why people get lymph cancer. And I've dealt with, not necessarily dealt with them, but I've discussed this with a few people that are very deep into the lymphatic system and the problems that some of these antibiotics and some of the herbivores, herbicides are in our food system now, and that not only they're herbicides, they kill herbs. Well, these are herbs too down in there. They're nothing more than bacteria. Bacteria are herbs. All right, so if you're going to herb that side, you're going to herb this side. Once you herb this side, you're screwed. Now, it's just, we really have to look at it as a system of getting stuff out. Because you may not get cancer in every part of your body, but you may not have the right bacteria to get rid of the stuff that's in your in your kidneys, or you might get some kind of kidney issue, or you pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, lymph node ducts are all over your body. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I hope I made my point there, because this is very important. This is not strictly autism. Autism is just another component of not having the correct bacteria. And that I can prove, because Marguerite has done the work. Her son is the trial balloon here. John was so severely autistic they would not even accept him into an autism plan because he was too autistic to participate. And now he is talking a mile a minute. He's shooting archery. He's riding a bicycle. All that stuff I have seen within a year or so of him starting into this. Pretty much it's the primal defenses, which she's, isolated it down to. She's done a lot of work on this, done a lot of detailed analysis of what the urine and the feces and all of the different things that affected him on his daily life for a very long time, and isolated it down to where we're 100% sure of what we're saying. He came out of the autism to a point where the neighbors were saying, "What happened to this kid?" And then about 6 months later, he was doing fabulous, playing baseball and all that stuff, but whatever they call it over there in Ireland. Anyway, he's doing all this stuff with the kids, and they're all sort of freaked out that he turned around so a lot. And then he got sick with the flu or some other little thing, got a bug thing, and he couldn't take the primal defense. Basically, was the problem. And then within 2 weeks, he was really in trouble again. They call it stimming, or stimulated, and everything is confused in him. And so, however, I found an extremely interesting comment she made, because I had just been studying the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve controls, it's like a superhighway of intersections of your thought process versus your motor activities versus your facial words, and all of that stuff intersects there. And I think that the bacteria somehow are being communicated to and saying, here's what we need to do the job down there. And if the bacteria is not there, you can't get the job done. And in places like the bile ducts and all of the membrane places where you're passing toxins in and out, and you have to get them out of there. You don't get them out, you're done. And if you don't have the bacteria to break them down and get them into a condition where they can be taken by the transition metals and carried away. That's how I first originally got into this, was transition metals. Because this is what I was doing, studying the transition metals in all of the mud fossils. And then when I started realizing those are the transport mechanisms for all the things that are in your body, it just kept cascading down to a point where it got more and more obvious that the bacteria in your microbiome, they call it now, is that inside of you. There's a little tiny biome. Actually, it's everywhere on your body, outside, inside, the whole 9 yards. And there's bacteria everywhere on you, everywhere, literally everywhere, in and on you. There's more of bacteria of you than there is of you of you. That's just a fact. So they are doing a job. You're really just a housing to carry around your bacteria. But if you don't take care of your bacteria, they're going to make you unhappy. And they're going to make you sick. You're going to be tired. You're going to be chronically ill. Your arm's not going to feel right. Your eyes are going to go, all kinds of issues from. So let's leave it at that. Or maybe I'll go a little deeper into this. But I can't stress it enough. We're talking about bacteria. And it appears that if we can find out, well, here's my plan. Let's look at the plan. Okay, simple as this. We're going to confront chronic conditions. The CCC approach at MFU, Mudfossil University. We're going to isolate the bio niches and the species that inhabit them. And we're going to do that by taking them from autopsies. People that have diseases and people that don't. and we will figure out what these little bio niches have populated in them of what kind of bacteria. What is the bacteria that's living in there? All right. What we need to do is find that out. Then we will eventually easily be able to associate those species that are missing to the conditions like cancers or chronic issues, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's, all of that stuff, motor neuron diseases. Everything is affected by this. Autism, Asperger's, Hunter's, all that stuff. Now, what do we do then? Once we can isolate these species of bacteria, I can't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to cultivate them. And so we can cultivate and, culture these probacteria, grow them. Once you have them in quantity, you can either deliver them, if they're supposed to be in the digestive system in that tract, you can either ingest them or put them in through an enema or whatever, figure out a delivery device for this. If it's supposed to be somewhere in a certain lymph node, I'm absolutely certain they could figure a way to squirt it right in that area somehow. Now, how would this have to be done? We'd first of all, like I said, autopsies, we'd have to get, and I talked to the guy that did my autopsy. He owns an autopsy school. He doesn't do this stuff. I don't know. He said he can't get samples. He won't take samples out. They never leave his lab. And we need something to be able to be isolated, harvested, isolated, tagged, and then figure out what is in that specific niche. What's under your arms? What's in your groin? What's near your pancreas? We need to know all of those different species. And we need to know when they're good and when they're not good. If a guy's sick, what is he missing? If a guy's healthy, what does he have? Or what is he missing? Because we might have some bad stuff in there too. I'm not saying we go everything is 100% good. Obviously there's bad stuff, and maybe we're not getting it killed. I don't know. This is all going to be unveiled by doing this work. So, but if we could figure it out and cultivate these and then create an enema or some way of getting them into you, somebody's got to get some funding. We got to get these autopsies done. We got to set up a tissue, bacteria, enzyme, condition database. What kind of tissue are we talking about? Is it muscle? Is it tendon? Is it pancreas and so forth? What is the bacteria that's resident there? What enzyme does that bacteria create? All this stuff we could figure out. And what condition does it create if the enzyme is not there or if there's too much there or that type of thing. And then we make a database, that's all. The guy walks in and he says, yeah, well, my this or that, or, my skin is giving me itching, and it only happens under my eyeballs, and it only happens after I have 3 different liquor drinks or whatever. All right, here's your problem. Take a couple of lactobacillus, call me in the morning. We want to heal the sick and start today. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with this. What can you do to help? And this is what we need help. It's going to require money, it's going to require tools, it's going to require people, it's going to require investment, it's going to require time, effort. Case closed. Now, who's going to do it? We've been doing it, or Marguerite's been doing it. All of these people that have skin in the game have been doing it. And we want to do this for everyone. We want everybody to benefit from this. All right, so what can you do? You have to speak up to professionals. You have to go find somebody. You got an uncle, you got a friend, you got a cousin, you got a kid. Tell them, say, look, do something about this. We need these experts. We need them with tools to come on board and say, look, somehow somebody's got to put some money into this. I don't have any money to put into it, and nobody I know does. But I know there's people out there that are sick too, and they have money. I'm not sick, so, and I don't have a whole lot of money, so I'm sort of out of this game. But we need to get somebody with money and somebody that has tools and experts and facilities and get this done. Harvest these biosamples, which are from autopsies. You get those samples, you test them, what's in a healthy person, what's in an unhealthy person. You're going to end up with statistical values. It's going to happen. All these people that are sick, 85% of them have this. All the people that are healthy, 85% of them don't have that. Because there's going to be overlap. Some guy's going to have a little of the bad stuff and he's still going to be okay. Some guy's going to have a little bit of the bad stuff and be sick as hell. So it's a database. We need to get a lot of activity on that database. All right? Somebody's got to do it. So we find out what it is. What is the bacteria that's there? And then where in all these different organs and tissues and bile ducts and lymph nodes and all the different areas, pancreas, liver, and so forth. Then once we have all that, we create a database. And we know that in this area you should have this kind of bacteria and not this kind of bacteria. And normally if you have this kind of bacteria, you're going to be okay. And if you don't have it, you're going to have this kind of condition and so forth. Now, once we find out what these things do and what they affect and where they should be and what those actual strains are of these bacteria, we should be able to culture them. I don't see any reason that couldn't be done. Right now they want to give you a poop enema, so you got to take somebody else's poop and and that's kind of revolting to a lot of people. Even people like that have a condition where I think they can be totally fixed by doing that, because I looked up the database from it, and it looks like you can have a poop enema from somebody that's a fecal, they call it a fecal transplant, and it apparently works. They tried, they looked it up for 2 years, and it got better after 2 years. It started right away. Within a few weeks, they were very good again. And then 2 years later, they were even better. So, but if we can culture that and then just put it in a little enema and you say, well, what kind of issues? You want a digestive system thing? You zip, you go. If you need something for oral, you eat it. If you need something for your skin, you put it on your skin. These are all different delivery techniques that we'd have to develop. Now, I'm going to leave it at that, but we need somebody to step up. You can contact me, and what you really should do, don't contact me actually, because I can't do much. I'm pretty much done. I'm sort of an idea guy. Get a hold of these people here. Autism, gut health issues. Send a message there. And now, sign up for here. There's not a whole lot of people involved here yet. We need some real serious interaction. This is worldwide, but primarily it's in the developed countries that are given antibiotics willy-nilly. Here, take a bunch of antibiotics and have a nice day. Don't worry about it. Anytime you get a root canal, they give you, take some antibiotics. Well, it's changing now. I got to give them a little credit. They're starting to come around, but not the way they should, because this is devastating. And the MMR vaccine is also devastating. Look it up, Freedom of Information Act, MMR vaccine. They withheld all the information. It's absolute gut bacteria destroyer. No reason to let that happen. You can intervene ahead and put prebiotics in there. If you got enough of the stuff in there, antibiotics can kill the bad stuff, yeah. But if you just continue to flush the good stuff in, you may not have any issue at all. Never ever happen. No problem whatsoever. Instead of having devastating autism. This one woman today, 17 years, the kid has almost never said a word. And since just a few months on the primal defense, she's talking, but like a toddler. But that will come around. Marguerite says, don't worry. 6 months, you won't be able to stop him from talking. I'm telling you, it's, this is terrible to let this happen if it's not necessary. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe that it's not being jumped on with more intensity. Now, the people that have been paying attention, they are thrilled. And I am thrilled too, because I'm going to tell you what, this has done more for me than it has for them. Because I like seeing, I like looking at everything. But boy, I tell you, this has really made me feel very good. And I hope it continues on, and I hope it has, because I don't see any reason we can't get rid of virtually every chronic condition. They're all created from a lack or an excess of something. And all we got to do is figure out what it is, and then figure out how to get it in there, close this case. All right? The healthcare system's not out of control. It's healthcare is out of control. They're just not doing it right. You break a bone, they're pretty good at fixing that, but the rest, I don't see a whole lot of, I don't think it's working. Let's see if we can do something about it.